Bri the Retirement Guy here, cleaning up some misconceptions about Roth accounts because it's incredibly important for you to understand how to get your money into accounts that can be permanently tax-free. Let's check it out. Picture this. If I were to ask you, what would you prefer? $10,000 to withdraw from your account and spend, actually having $10,000 to spend and enjoy, or withdrawing $10,000 from your accounts and only having $8,000 to spend because you have to pay Uncle Sam his piece. What would you prefer? Spoiler alert, I asked 10 people, just like you, they prefer the first one, the full $10,000.
Yep.
In one of his famous quotes, wise Ben Franklin didn't say that the things that are certain are death or taxes. He said death and taxes. And when it comes to taxes, specifically how much you pay, Roth accounts are incredibly important, especially in retirement. But confusion or misunderstanding about their rules prevents people from using them, and it can be costly, incredibly costly. We'll show you some of that today. So since we're talking retirement and tax stuff, let's clean up some of this confusion. When I'm in the trenches doing my work, here are some of the things I hear folks say all the time. 1, I'm not allowed to use a Roth. Either I'm too old or I make too much money. I'm not earning anymore. That's not true. Now, there are 2 specific definitions that we need to clarify for you because this is where the confusion lies. And you can see a copy of this definition in the March 2023 newsletter called our Retirement and Tax Newsletter. A contribution, which is adding after-tax dollars to a Roth account, may not be possible for you, as you can see here from the definition. But when folks hear stories about that, they immediately start to say, well, then I can't use a Roth at all. And if you look down at the definition for a Roth conversion, which is where we'll actually be spending most of our time today, anybody at any time can use a Roth conversion. Basically, it's taking chunks of money. You get to decide how much. Chunks of money from your pre-tax accounts and then moving them to a Roth account. There's no limit, no age limit, no amount limit, no income limit, no nothing on a Roth conversion. The only caveat is you pay taxes when you move that money. But the confusion between these 2 definitions and not recognizing that there is a difference between definitions often causes people to ignore Roth accounts entirely, and that can be incredibly costly. 2, I get people that say, well, I want to push me into a higher tax bracket, or I have to pay taxes on it now, and maybe I'll pay tax in the future. I'm going to share a bias with you. Everybody thinks they're going to be in a lower tax bracket in the future. That's what they've been told throughout their working years, but that may not be the case. And my bias is that it's probably not going to be the case for the majority of folks that have a lot of their wealth in pre-tax accounts. Let's take a look. When you do some work and do some estimations on where you might fall from a tax perspective through retirement, not only just in the next few years, but through retirement, sure, you may find that there is a couple years where your actual tax bracket could be lower than when you were working. But when you gaze out at the horizon, oftentimes you find that that goes right back up when required distributions start and folks start having to take money out of their pre-tax accounts. So the whole myth about potentially being in a lower bracket in the future tends to oftentimes not be true. So what can you do? One of the rules of thumb is when you visualize your tax bracket through retirement and you find yourself in a certain tax bracket in the early phases of your retirement, fill up that tax bracket with conversions. The green image on this picture shows you intentional conversions, Roth conversions, moving money from pre-tax accounts to Roth accounts, from pre-tax IRAs to Roth IRAs in the early years of retirement, filling up the bracket that this family already found themselves in, which in this case is the 22, or in a few years will most likely be the 25% bracket. The benefit of that is at the midpoint of their retirement, they find themselves dropping significantly into lower tax brackets because now the majority of their wealth is in Roth accounts. Their Social Security is not being taxed anymore. They may be in a lower capital gains tax bracket, and they're significantly reducing the amount of taxes that they and their family will pay over time. So don't let misunderstanding about tax brackets and thinking that you're just automatically going to be in a lower tax bracket prevent you from doing the math to looking at conversions through the course of your retirement. 3, people say, I'm too old, required distributions already started, it's too late for me. Not true. I would absolutely shoot down the I'm too old objection to Roth conversions. Here's why. Although you're not allowed to convert the required distribution to a Roth. Uncle Sam wants that money out back into circulation so he can tax it again and again and again. You can't convert a required distribution, but what you can do is you can convert any amount above a required distribution to effectively reduce your future required distributions. Let me show you. If folks just let their money sit in pre-tax IRAs, what tends to happen over time through retirement is their required distributions will most likely get larger as time goes by. That's just the way the math works. Whereas if folks intentionally convert money over to Roth to no longer be required to make distributions out of those accounts because you've already satisfied Uncle Sam's tax piece, you tend to reduce your required distributions through the course of your retirement, get out of the way of forced required distributions, and significantly reduce your tax burden. Why am I teaching you this about Roth accounts? Tax strategy, implementing Roth conversions and life insurance, but Roth conversions in this case can save you and your family tens, if not hundreds of thousands in taxes through the course of your retirement. So think for yourself, who are these dollars for? Are they for you? Reflect back on our $10,000 question. In the future, if tax rates go up, Uncle Sam might not just take $2,000 out of your 10 grand, he might take more. So that means you have less. Are your accounts for the kids? Could end up paying more to Uncle Sam because when they inherit your accounts, not only are they inherited potentially in their peak earning years, which would push distributions up into higher brackets, but if you remember back a few years ago, Secure Act 1.0 forced any type of non-spouse beneficiary of your pre-tax accounts to have to remove that money within a 10-year window. And that could cause significant taxation on those dollars, forcing more to go to Uncle Sam. Are these dollars for your spouse when you're not around anymore? What we'll talk about here is the widow penalty or the widow tax. And that's when whoever's left behind, doesn't matter which one, whoever's left behind goes from married filing jointly on their tax return to a single filer. That changes everything about the tax brackets that they're exposed to. When they continue to have to pull money out of pre-tax accounts, it's exposed to higher and higher taxation, which means less to spend for them. So as you can see, Roth accounts and life insurance, we'll be focused on Roth accounts here. They're two of the most valuable tools you can have in your toolbox when it comes to retirement and keeping money in your pocket. Don't let confusion over the rules around Roth accounts keep you from using them. So check out our monthly newsletter, share this video with a friend, or schedule a call. You'll see right on our website our carefully crafted process to help you determine what parts of this information impacts you and whether working together or not makes sense in your world. No pressure, no obligation. Oh, and P.S., no real dollars were hurt during the filming of this video. These dollars are copies.